Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City of Summerside Monthly Council Meeting of April 17, 2023. I'm going to begin by calling the meeting to order at 6:30, right on time. The first thing I'm going to do is look for a motion to approve the agenda, but I would like to add one item at the very end, minor amendment to add an in-camera discussion regarding a development agreement that will go on as section 8. So just looking for a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Councilor Duran, second. Councilor Glant. Agenda is carried. We begin every meeting here at the City of Summerside with a land acknowledgement. And we acknowledge that the land upon which we gather is the unceded Mi'kmaq territory. Abagway is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship. We pay our respects to the indigenous Mi'kmaq people who have occupied this island for over 12,000 years, past, present, and future. Land acknowledgement is a small but meaningful step in the process of reconciliation, and it's a way that we show respect to honor indigenous peoples of the land where we live. It's also a way of resisting the erasure of indigenous histories and an important step on the pathway towards reconciliation. I'd ask any councillors to identify any conflict of interest declaration with respect to any item on the agenda for this evening. Hearing none, we will continue and move on to section 2, approval of meeting minutes. I'm going to call for motions to approve the meeting minutes. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I don't know, a lot. And just a quick reminder for any councillor, I think you know this, but if it's planning board meeting minutes, you have to be on planning board committee. And for any minutes that you approve, you need to have been there, and I think everyone's been there for all the meetings. So I'll begin at 2A, the monthly council minutes of March 20th, 2023. Moved by Councilor McColman, second Councilor Glant. All in favor of adopting those minutes? Any opposed? None. Those minutes are now adopted and carried. Next, B, special council minutes of March 28th, 2023. Motion from Councilor Glant, second Councilor Adams. All in favor of adopting those minutes? Any opposed? Hearing none, those are adopted. C, planning board minutes of March 28th, 2023. Who was listening? Councilor Duran? Councilor Snow? Motion to approve those minutes? Aye. I also sit on the planning board. There being no other members of planning board, there is no one opposed. Special council minutes of March 29th, 2023. Councilor Morrison, second Councilor Snow. All in favor of adopting those minutes? Any opposed? None. Those are also carried. Planning board minutes of April 4th, 2023. Motion from Councilor Snow, second Councilor Duran. All in favor? And aye, and hearing no other voices because there are none, those are also carried. Committee of the Whole minutes of April 4th, 2023. Move from Councilor McColman, second from Councilor Adams. All in favor of adopting the minutes? Any opposed? Hearing none, those are also adopted. We're getting there, folks. We're almost done. Special council minutes of April 4th, 2023. Moved by Councilor Snow, second by Councilor Morrison. All in favor of adopting the special council minutes? Any opposed? None. Next, H, in-camera minutes of April 4th, 2023. Councilor Snow, second Councilor Adams. All in favor of those minutes? Any opposed? None. Those are adopted. And the last one, the planning board minutes of April 11th, 2023. Moved by Councilor Duran, second Councilor Snow. All in favor? And myself. None opposed. Those are all adopted. Thank you. Thank you very much for your patience. And thank you, councillors. You've been busy. Moving into item 3, at each council meeting, we have an opportunity for any councillors to identify and speak about any accolades, recognitions, or anything positive happening in their ward or their community that they want to just bring to the attention of the community. Anyone today? All right. I'll just mention that today Councilor McColman and I attended a number of schools in and around Summerside with the wonderful Easter Seals ambassadors, Megan and Caitlin Rogers, whose motto is to believe in yourself and don't give up. And it was a real It always is. For those of you who haven't seen it or participated in it, the Ambassador Tour through Easter Seals is a wonderful opportunity to build community, and the schools of Summerside did a fantastic job with both fundraising and also showing their support and belief in living up to that motto. So that was a great way to spend the morning, Councillor. Moving on to item 4, this is our public presentations, petitions, or delegations. And the first one we get to start with, well, they're both kind of unique and different. So the first one is, as we call it, the Poetry City. This is what it's written down here, National Poetry Month. So April is Poetry Month. The Mayor's Poetry Challenge takes place during National Poetry Month, which began in 1998 by the League of Canadian Poets to celebrate and appreciate poetry. For the last number of years, after an initiative from the then Mayor of Calgary, cities were asked to host a poetry reading at one of their council meetings. In the past, Culture Summerside, and now again, has arranged for an island poet to come to the April council meeting to read a piece or two of original poetry. I'm not sure if the city of Calgary has continued its Mayor's Poetry Challenge, but we and other cities across Canada have, and so are the pathways of tradition. This year, I'm really excited and honored to have Prince Edward Island's new Poet Laureate, Tanya Davis, here with us this evening. To be selected, the Poet Laureate must be active and recognized as a poet of stature who has published at least one volume of poetry within the last 10 years, with a reputable publishing house, or whose body of work over the years has brought honor to themselves and the province. PEI's last Poet Laureate was Julie Pelletier-Lush, who you may recall, councillors, was with us here on inauguration night, where she shared words, blessing, and song. So I can, that's pretty cool. We have had 2 Poet Laureates in 4 months. Tanya Davis is a writer and interdisciplinary artist living in Abogway, Prince Edward Island. She writes and performs poems, songs, monologues, speeches, and other things. She is a poet and a storyteller. She's a musician and a singer-songwriter who fuses these elements together in a way that is unique, captivating, and I find personally powerful. Tanya Davis has been awarded numerous local, regional, and national awards for her writings. In her new role as Poet Laureate, she will act as a spokesperson for literature in Prince Edward Island and raise the awareness of poetry and the spoken word. So I'd ask you to please welcome me in joining Tanya Davis to our City Council.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I know you get a poet at City Council meeting. It's not every day, and it lengthens the meeting by as long as it takes me to read this poem. So thank you for that. I know you had a lot of minutes to approve, so I don't know. You're already used to long things, I guess. It's nice to be here. I grew up in Summerside. My parents are here tonight. They still live here. Apparently, I'm related to someone on council. I just found out today. It's a very small island. So the theme of the Poetry Month this year's joy. So I wrote a poem on that theme, which is harder than I thought. Joy should be easy to talk about, good for moods and poems. A nice feeling, desired by all beings, experienced but fleetingly by most. I was skeptical, admittedly, of this theme they chose, they, the agents of Poetry Month. Why joy, I'd like to know? Is it to trick us into feeling some? April is the cruelest month. Let us forget the winter we're still reeling from. Taxes due soon, too much mud. While we wait to see flowers unfurling, grass turning green, we have conceptual joy, at least, joy as theme. But hey, we shouldn't knock it till we try it. We should fake it till we make it. Make believe as small reprieve from daily grind and grinding wheel. Anyway, we should take our zeal as it arises. Joy comes in trickles most of the time, tiny surprises. But we're so busy striving, we're rarely there to greet it when it arrives. Knocks once, twice, 3 times. While we're off pursuing our Instagrammable lives, joy is patient, standing by. Maybe joy is present all the time, shrouded by reality, clouded by mind. The experience of joy requires little and yet so much. First off, joy asks that we open up. Because joy is a gleeful child of an emotion. We don't feel joy while maintaining our composure. Joy needs us to let go and come closer. Joy is best friends with wonder. Joy is a cousin of awe. To know joy, we must admit that we don't know it all, which is tricky. For instance, how many politicians can say with poise and confidence, "I don't know"? It's like getting sworn into office comes with this unacknowledged oath, not only false and surely burdensome, but toxic also. We don't need you to know everything, we just need you to be honest when you don't. I call on politicians now because that's what happens when you bring a poet to council. No, actually, that's just my job. Not to critique, but to connect the dots. Speaking of connected dots, it's not just politics that is at fault. It's all of us, prioritizing certainty over other possibilities, expecting expertise at the expense of our own marvel. Why do children shriek with joy at the carnival? It's not because the grounds are pretty and hot dogs are delicious, but because of twists and turns, the rides that cannot be predicted. We're too old to put our organs through it, but we smile from the sidelines because joy is infectious. We pine to have it. We talk and we write and we read about it. We plot and we fight and convene around it like it's the fire and we'd freeze without it. We seek it out and we dream about it. Life is mean without it, that's for sure. We hope joy will just appear like magic, like a magician's rabbit, a winning lottery number. When actually we have to make joy a habit, a practice we tend to, a home we inhabit. I know we don't intend to, but we take joy and squash it. Or we trap it someplace we can't get to, or we don't visit often, as if we're not supposed to, or it's a limited commodity, like there's a recession in the economy of joy. No question that recessions affect it. Oppression, anxiety, us disconnected, torn threads in our society, odds stacked against us, thermometers climbing, seas and tensions rising. It's no surprise that joy is hiding just out of view. But it's there. Even if you can't see joy, joy can see you. At the grocery store checkout, guffawing at the cost of food. At the walk-in clinic, wondering where all the doctors went to. In the rocking chair, considering what aging costs you, what grows up behind you, and how to find delight amidst the trials and truths of life. I mean, we may as well. Joy is not hiding out only to emerge with the right conditions. We strive to check the boxes so then we can be happy, like we're on some type of mission. Meanwhile, life is passing. We inch closer to the finish. What if we let joy happen? Anyway, joy does not ask for our ambition. Its task for us is simple. It desires our attention. Pause, look, listen. It requests our presence, reminds us of small pleasures alongside big stresses. A breath of fresh air, for instance. A good friendship. The crocus blooming, your co-worker's penmanship. The way your leftovers fit perfectly in that container. How the sun warms your face, how the rain smells on pavement. How your dog is so excited it wags its whole body to express it. How a baby makes eye contact. How an old lady's hands are smooth like softest paper. How all the flavors in your favorite meal taste, or the feeling of your oldest sweater. These are some examples, but the examples are endless. We don't urge joy to minimize reality and hardship, but we encourage joy to maximize ways to keep our hearts fit, to keep our hearts in it, this world that on some day feels hardly fit for joy. But of course it is. We have joy to offset sadness with, to remind us what a wonder it is that we get to be here in the first place. This hurt place, this gorgeous space, complex though it may be. I've been tasked with writing a poem about joy. Writing a joyful poem, now that's a different thing. Joy is evasive when we grasp after it. 'cause like a bird in the sky, joy is free. We can chase after it, but all we need to do is stand still for a minute and listen to it sing. Thanks.
Thank you, Tanya. That was awesome and wonderful. It's hard to go from that and back into a city council meeting. I gotta be honest with you. You've got me tied up the most I've been. But in a sense, we're moving into, again, something else that's different and we only do here once a year. That's also really, really important. And this is our junior council report. So a couple of weeks ago, we had junior mayor and council were sworn in here in this chambers, and then spent a couple of weeks discussing, working together, understanding the inner workings and ins and outs of the city. And as I understand it tonight, Junior Mayor Rice, you are coming up here to sit and present to council. Good to go? Yeah. All right. I didn't leave a note for you to tell you how to turn the mic on this time. So.
Hello, everyone. Your worship, deputy, council. Thank you so much for having us back here today. We had a great time on our city tour, and it's difficult to choose our favorite part of the day. The police and fire departments were neck and neck in winning our favor, but ultimately, our ride in the fire engine might have sealed the deal. In all seriousness, it was a wonderfully unique and insightful experience and allowed us to fully understand the importance of those working behind the scenes in our city. On behalf of the entire Junior Council, thank you for the opportunity. While we did have a lot of fun on our tour, we hadn't lost sight of our purpose. Our report includes both comments from departments and our own views for the future of our lovely city of Summerside. Should any questions arise, feel free to interrupt me anytime or hold them until the end. When asked what changes they'd like to see made by the city, most departments expressed that the city treated them quite well and that there were no changes to be made. That being said, the fire department is concerned about the condition of their fire hall, as they're experiencing further electrical, heating, and plumbing issues. It's good to know that the construction of a replacement is underway, and I'm hoping this will solve years of problems for the department. For our suggestions, I'd like to begin with one that ranks quite highly on my own agenda. As stated back at our swearing in, my goal and promise as junior mayor is to involve youth in our city. So, to achieve this, I believe we should bring more power to the Junior Council. I'm not suggesting we run Summerside, but by acting as a sort of year-round youth advisory board, we could maximize our impact on the city. The Junior Council could even work alongside Summerside Active Living to brainstorm ideas to appeal even more to the youth population. Think dances, open mics, etc. In addition to this, we should also move the SIS Junior Council election to an earlier time in the year, maybe late September to early October, to give each group of councillors more time to work alongside the city. Our next suggestion is a highly anticipated and discussed one, a youth center. When asked for their thoughts on Summerside, many teens would respond that it's boring. A place for teens to hang out would be the perfect solution. Within this facility, there would be courts for sports, places to socialize and study, maybe a cafe or an arcade. Having our own spot may be an ambitious plan, but establishing any kind of dedicated place for teens to go would be hugely beneficial. Another popular idea is to widen and improve transportation options for our citizens. Investing in a small network of citywide transportation, like buses, could benefit not only our youth, but others who can't drive. This could engage and encourage residents to explore what the city has to offer, as well as offering a greener and cheaper alternative to driving. Speaking of greener and cheaper, we should continue to encourage active transportation like walking and biking by building more sidewalks and bike-friendly options. We would also like to see an improved shopping experience here in Summerside. We have a fairly nice collection of stores, but by attracting more businesses, we could keep both shoppers and their money in the city. One final suggestion may seem small, Our final suggestion may seem small, but it would be greatly impactful on our community. Legier Park's basketball court needs some work. Although we are aware of how lucky we are that it simply exists, many of our fellow counselors and peers back at school have expressed that it could use an upgrade. This would be greatly appreciated by youth who enjoy this popular sport. In closing, I'd like to give a final round of thank yous to everyone who makes Junior Mayor and Council possible. Mayor Kuchar and all of the Summerside City Councilors, as well as Sandra Zarvi. We'd also like to thank Mr. Sears and Mr. Doyle over at SAS. All in all, our council was unanimous in that this was an amazing experience and we thoroughly enjoyed every step of the way. We hope that you'll take our thoughts into consideration.
That was great. I was going to hope you just keep going for the rest of the evening. And thank you again, Junior Mayor Laureate and all of Junior Council. I, express a lot of the things that you were talking about and looking for. It gives me hope and optimism, makes me feel like we're on the right direction because we are talking about the exact same things. And it's so important for us as a city to continue to grow and build and design and change in a way that works for young people, because we need you more than you need us. So thank you for sharing with us today. We'll take all of your recommendations under advisement. I perhaps made a commitment to you that we would adopt one, so I will certainly work with council, and I think probably your first is one that is going to be really important. So thank you again. Thank you for all of you for all the work that you put in, the campaigns that you ran, and the discussions that you've had and the thought that you've put into this entire process. At this point, I'm going to just take a 5-minute recess, and then we'll continue on with the rest of the council meeting, just if there's people who want to go or people who want to stay. Thank you, folks. We'll end our recess and continue with our council meeting. Moving on, item 5, appointment to committees. There are 2 appointments to make with the resignation now officially of Minister Ramsey. I'm getting used to that. First, 5A, Planning Board appointment. Both these appointments are both within the power and duties of the mayor. I am appointing Councilor Rick Morrison to the Planning Board Committee. And item B, appointment of representative to emergency services. I'm appointing Councilor Adams as the new representative of emergency services. And those are those. Now I pass the meeting over to Councilor Duran.
Thank you, Your Worship. We have a number of resolutions to cover, I guess, for the Planning Board. A to P. I can't do I don't have enough fingers, but it's A to P. So at any time, if there's any questions, I'll certainly allow for that, but I'll try to get through these as quickly as I can. They're not too meaty, so it shouldn't take too long. So we will begin with Resolution COS 23-042. It was moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor Snow. Whereas an application was received from Riley Cameron for a zoning amendment for PID number 67835 from service commercial C2 zone to high density residential R4 zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. And whereas zoning bylaw amendment 0047, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, was read and declared as read a first time at the council meeting held on March 28th, 2023. And whereas in accordance with section 5.7 of the zoning bylaw, council shall consider the following general criteria as applicable: conformity with all requirements of this bylaw, conformity with the official plan, suitability of the site for the proposed development, compatibility of the proposed development with surrounding land uses, including both existing and projected uses, any comments from residents or other interested persons, adequacy of existing water, sewer, road, stormwater, and electrical services, city parking and parklands for accommodating the development and any projected infrastructure requirements, impacts from the development on pedestrian or vehicular access and safety and on public safety generally, compatibility of the development with environmental, scenic, and heritage resources, impacts on city finances and budgets, other matters as described in this bylaw, and other matters as considered relevant. Be it resolved that zoning amendment 0047, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, be hereby declared as read a second time. This bears the recommendation of the Planning Board meeting held on April 4th, 2023, and Schedule B is attached that shows the plan subject property. Are there any questions? If not, we will move to the vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. And against? There are none, so resolution COS 23042 carries. Resolution COS 23-043, moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Barb Gallant. Whereas an application was received from Riley Cameron for a zoning amendment for PID number 67835 from service commercial C2 zone to high density residential R4 zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. And whereas zoning bylaw amendment 0047, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, was read and declared as read at 2 separate meetings of council held on different days. Be it resolved that zoning bylaw amendment 0047, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, be hereby formally adopted. And if there are no questions, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That carries. Oh, no. Resolution COS 23-044, moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Morrison. Whereas an application was received from Camco Inc. to amend the future land use plan for a portion of PID number 69781 from industrial land use to commercial land use under the City of Summerside official plan. And whereas in accordance with section 5.7 of the zoning bylaw, Council shall consider the following general criteria as applicable: conformity with all requirements of this bylaw, conformity with the official plan, suitability of the site for the proposed development, compatibility of the proposed development with surrounding land uses, including both existing and projected uses, any comments from residents or other interested persons, adequacy of existing water, sewer, road, stormwater, and electrical services, city parking and parklands for accommodating the development, and any projected infrastructure requirements, impacts from the development on pedestrian or vehicular access and safety, and on public safety generally, compatibility of the development with environmental, scenic, and heritage resources, impacts on city finances and budgets, other matters as specified in this bylaw, and other matters as considered relevant. Be it resolved that official plan amendment 0048-C2 to amend the City of Summerside official plan be hereby formally adopted. Schedule B is attached with the subject property and the plan. This bears the recommendation of the Planning Board meeting held on April 4th, 2023. Are there any questions? I know Councilor McDougall had something to read, but I think that was for another one. That was for the residential portion. Okay. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? There are none. That is carried. Resolution COS 23-045, moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor Snow. Whereas an application was received from Camco Inc. for a zoning amendment for a portion of PID number 69781 from light industrial M1 zone to service commercial C2 zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. And whereas zoning bylaw amendment 0049-C2, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, was read and declared as read a first time at the council meeting held on March 28th, 2023. And whereas in accordance with section 5.7 of the zoning bylaw, council shall consider the following general criteria as applicable: conformity with all the requirements of this bylaw, conformity with the official plan, suitability of the site for the proposed development, compatibility of the proposed development with surrounding land uses, including both existing and projected uses, any comments from residents or other interested persons, adequacy of existing water, sewer, road, stormwater, and electrical services, city parking and parklands for accommodating the development, and any projected infrastructure requirements, impacts from the development on pedestrian or vehicular access and safety, and on public safety generally, compatibility of the development with environmental, scenic, and heritage resources, impacts on city finances and budgets, other matters as specified in this bylaw, and other matters as considered relevant. Be it resolved that zoning amendment 0049-C2, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, be hereby declared as read a second time. This bears the recommendation of the Planning Board meeting held on August 4th, 2023, and Schedule B is attached. Are there any questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that is carried. Resolution COS 23-046, moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Barb Gallant. Whereas an application was received from Camco Inc. for a zoning amendment for a portion of PID number 69781 from light industrial M1 zone to service commercial C2 zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. And whereas zoning bylaw amendment 0049-C2, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, was read and declared as read at two separate meetings of council held on different days. Be it resolved that zoning bylaw amendment 0049-C2, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, be hereby formally adopted. Are there any questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? There are none. That is carried. COS 23-047, moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Morrison. Whereas an application was received from Camco Inc. to amend the future land use plan for a portion of PID number 69781 from industrial land use to residential land use under the City of Summerside official plan. And whereas in accordance with section 5.7 of the zoning bylaw, council shall consider the following general criteria as applicable: conformity with all requirements of this bylaw, conformity with the official plan, suitability of the site for the proposed development, compatibility of the proposed development with surrounding land uses, including both existing and projected uses, any comments from residents or other interested persons, adequacy of existing water, sewer, road, stormwater, and electrical services, city parking, and parklands for accommodating the development and any projected infrastructure requirements, impacts from the development on pedestrian or vehicular access and safety, and on public safety generally, compatibility of the development with environmental, scenic, and heritage resources, impacts on city finances and budgets, other matters as specified in this bylaw, and other matters as considered relevant. Be it resolved that official plan amendment 0048-R2 to amend the City of Summerside official plan be hereby formally adopted. Schedule B is attached. This bears the recommendation of the planning board meeting held on April 4th, 2023. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? And that is carried. Resolution COS 23-048.
Councillor,
Yes.
you referenced Councillor McDougall having, is that the one he wanted something?
It was either, it'll either be that one or
It was just sort of at the end.
just in general, the statement regarding the residential conversion. COS 23-048. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Morrison. Whereas an application was received from Camco Inc. for a zoning amendment for a portion of PID number 69781 from light industrial M1 zone to low density mixed residential R2 zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. And whereas zoning bylaw amendment 0049-R2, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, was read and declared as read a first time at the council meeting held on March 28th, 2023. And whereas in accordance with section 5.7 of the zoning bylaw, council shall consider the following general criteria as applicable: conformity with all requirements of this bylaw, conformity with the official plan, suitability of the site for the proposed development, compatibility of the proposed development with surrounding land uses, including both existing and projected uses, any comments from residents or other interested persons, adequacy of existing water, sewer, road, stormwater, and electrical services, city parking, and parklands for accommodating the development and any projected infrastructure requirements, impacts from the development on pedestrian or vehicular access and safety, and on public safety generally, compatibility of the development with environmental, scenic, and heritage resources, impacts on city finances and budgets, other matters as specified in this bylaw, and other matters as considered relevant. Be it resolved that zoning amendment 0049-R2, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, be hereby declared as read a second time. This bears the recommendation of the planning board meeting held on April 4th, 2023, and Schedule B is attached. Are there any questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? There are none. That is carried. A few more. Resolution COS 23-049, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor McColman. Whereas an application was received from Camco Inc. for a zoning amendment for a portion of PID number 69781 from light industrial M1 zone to low density mixed residential R2 zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. And whereas zoning bylaw amendment 0049-R2, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, was read and declared as read at two separate meetings of council held on different days. Be it resolved that zoning bylaw amendment 0049-R2, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, be hereby formally adopted. If there are no questions, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? There are none. That is carried. Resolution COS 23-050, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Barb Gallant. Whereas an application was received from Camco Inc. to amend the future land use plan for a portion of PID number 69781 from industrial land use to residential land use under the City of Summerside official plan. And whereas in accordance with section 5.7 of the zoning bylaw, council shall consider the following general criteria as applicable. I think I'll go through these by heart by the end, but still need to read it. Conformity with all requirements of this bylaw, conformity with the official plan, suitability of the site for the proposed development, compatibility of the proposed development with surrounding land uses, including both existing and projected uses, any comments from residents or other interested persons, adequacy of existing water, sewer, road, stormwater, and electrical services, city parking, and parklands for accommodating the development and any projected infrastructural requirements, impacts from the development on pedestrian or vehicular access and safety, and on public safety generally, compatibility of the development with environmental, scenic, and heritage resources, impacts on city finances and budgets, other matters as specified in this bylaw, and other matters as considered relevant. Be it resolved that official plan amendment 0048-R4 to amend the City of Summerside official plan be hereby formally adopted. Schedule B is attached. This bears the recommendation of the planning board meeting held on April 4th, 2023. Are there any questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? There are none. That is carried. Resolution COS 23-051. Moved by Councilor McCollman and seconded by myself. Whereas an application was received from Camco Inc. for a zoning amendment for a portion of PID number 69781 from light industrial M1 zone to high density residential R4 zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. And whereas zoning bylaw amendment 0049-R4, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, was read and declared as read a first time at the council meeting held on March 28th, 2023. And whereas in accordance with section 5.7 of the zoning bylaw, council shall consider the following general criteria as applicable: conformity with all requirements of this bylaw, conformity with the official plan, suitability of the site for the proposed development, compatibility of the proposed development with surrounding land uses, including both existing and projected uses, any comments from residents or other interested persons, adequacy of existing water, sewer, road, stormwater, and electrical services, city parking, and parklands for accommodating the development and any projected infrastructure requirements, impacts from the development on pedestrian or vehicular access and safety, and on public safety generally, compatibility of the development with environmental, scenic, and heritage resources, impacts on city finances and budgets, other matters as specified in this bylaw, other matters as considered relevant. Be it resolved that zoning amendment 0049-R4, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, be hereby declared as read a second time. This bears the recommendation of the planning board meeting held on April 4th, 2023. Schedule B is attached. Are there any questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? That is carried. Four more for this particular application, and then we're good. And then we can hear from Councilor McDougall. Resolution COS 23-052, moved by Councilor Morrison, seconded by Councilor Adams. Whereas an application was received from Camco Inc. for a zoning amendment for a portion of PID number 69781 from light industrial M1 zone to high density residential R4 zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. And whereas zoning bylaw amendment 0049-R4, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, was read and declared as read at two separate meetings of council held on different days. Be it resolved that zoning bylaw amendment 0049-R4, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, be hereby formally adopted. Are there any questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? There are none. That is carried. Starting to tear up. All right. Resolution COS 23-053, moved by Councilor Morrison, seconded by Councilor Adams. Whereas an application was received from Camco Inc. to amend the future land use plan for a portion of PID number 69781 from industrial land use to residential land use under the City of Summerside official plan. And whereas in accordance with section 5.7 of the zoning bylaw, council shall consider the following general criteria as applicable: conformity with all requirements of this bylaw, conformity with the official plan, suitability of the site for the proposed development, compatibility of the proposed development with surrounding land uses, including both existing and projected uses, any comments from residents or other interested persons, adequacy of existing water, sewer, road, stormwater, and electrical services, city parking and parklands for accommodating the development and any projected infrastructure requirements, impacts from the development on pedestrian or vehicular access and safety, and on public safety generally, compatibility of the development with environmental, scenic, and heritage resources, impacts on city finances and budgets, other matters as specified in this bylaw, and other matters as considered relevant. Be it resolved that official plan amendment 0048-R3R to amend the City of Summerside official plan be hereby formally adopted. Schedule B is attached. This bears the recommendation of the Planning Board meeting held on April 4th, 2023. Are there any questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? There are none. That is carried. Some herbal tea or something. Okay, resolution COS 23-054, moved by Councilor Barb Gallant, seconded by Councilor Norma McColman. Whereas an application was received from Camco Inc. for a zoning amendment for a portion of PID number 69781 from light industrial M1 zone to medium density narrow lot residential R3R zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. And whereas zoning bylaw amendment 0049-R3R, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, was read and declared as read a first time at the council meeting held on March 28th, 2023. And whereas in accordance with section 5.7 of the zoning bylaw, council shall consider the following general criteria as applicable: conformity with all requirements of this bylaw, conformity with the official plan, suitability of the site for the proposed development, compatibility of the proposed development with surrounding land uses, including both existing and projected uses, any comments from residents or other interested persons, adequacy of existing water, sewer, road, stormwater and electrical services, city parking, and parklands for accommodating the development and any projected infrastructure requirements, impacts from the development on pedestrian or vehicular access and safety and on public safety generally, compatibility of the development with environmental, scenic, and heritage resources, impacts on city finances and budgets, other matters as specified in this bylaw, and other matters as considered relevant. Be it resolved that zoning amendment 0049-R3R, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, be hereby declared as read a second time. This bears the recommendation of the Planning Board meeting held on April 4th, 2023. Schedule B is attached. Are there any questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? There are none. That is carried. Last one for 130 Greenwood Drive. Resolution COS 23-055, moved by Councilor Adams and seconded by Deputy Mayor Snow. Whereas an application was received from Camco Inc. for a zoning amendment for a portion of PID number 69781 from light industrial M1 zone to medium density narrow lot residential R3R zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, and whereas zoning bylaw amendment 0049-R3R, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, was read and declared as read at two separate meetings of council held on different days. Be it resolved that zoning bylaw amendment 0049-R3R, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, be hereby formally adopted. Are there any questions or comments?
I will.
Councilor Adams.
Thank you. Councilor McDougall is not with us this evening, and he was going to try to be in virtually, but his internet is not acceptable. So he said he may be watching the internet here is not reliable. As I have stated, my concerns during the planning board meetings about the rezoning. I know the great need for housing across this city. For that reason, I do support this rezoning as proposed. However, I have expressed in planning board earlier that I have concerns of any development coming forward that will connect through Valley Street. So Councilor McDougall wanted that on record.
Anyone else? We will call for the vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? There are none. That is carried. And that is the end of that group of resolutions for 130 Greenwood Drive. Thank you for your patience. I do have two more. They are fairly about the same length, so we'll just carry on. So, resolution COS 23-056, moved by Councilor Barb Gallant and seconded by myself. Whereas an application for a major variance was received from IPAX Inc. for PID number 937771 at 373 Jennifer Street, zoned R2, for a variance to lot frontage for 2 lots. And whereas the development standards for the R2 zone, section 16.5 of the city zoning bylaw, requires a lot frontage for a single family dwelling lot to be 21 meters. And whereas in accordance with section 7.2 of the city zoning bylaw, council, planning board, and the development officer shall consider the variance against the following tests for justifying a variance. There are 4. A, that the hardship is due to unique physical conditions of the lot or property, including small lot size, irregular lot shape, existing building location on the property, or exceptional topographical conditions, which make it impractical to develop in strict conformity with bylaw standards. Exceptional topographical conditions may include, but are not limited to, trees, slope of the land, etc. B, that the proposed variance meets the general intent of the official plan. C, that the proposed variance meets the general intent of the zone. And D, that the proposed variance would not impact negatively on adjacent properties or on the essential character of the surrounding neighborhood, including taking into consideration any comments from neighbors. Be it resolved that council grant IPAX Inc. PID number 937771, 373 Jennifer Street, a variance of 27%, allowing a lot frontage of 15.3 meters for 2 single-family dwelling lots in the R2 zone. This bears the recommendation of the planning board meeting held on April 11th, 2023. Are there any questions? All in favor say
Can I just?
yes.
Did we mention last time that this just brings the lots in line with the existing lots,
Yeah, the
correct?
existing lots, I
Yeah.
believe, to the south of that,
Yeah.
which are older lots.
Yes.
And this is a newer section, so this just, yeah, brings the lot area down to match everything that already exists there anyway. So hopefully I worded that right. If not, I will clarify next month. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? There are none. That is carried. My final resolution, COS 23-057, moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Adams. Whereas Corey Arsenault is requesting council approval in accordance with section 13 of the licensing bylaw CS-21 to operate a mobile sales establishment, Big Guy Burger and Fry, at 480 Central Street. The property owner is Enterprise Venture Group, Inc. And whereas section 13 of the licensing bylaw provides that council shall allow or refuse an application based on the following considerations: safety, desirability, impact on established businesses in the city, public convenience, and such other considerations as it deems appropriate. Be it resolved, the council grant approval to Corey Arsenault to operate a mobile sales establishment, Big Guy Burger and Fry, at 480 Central Street, owned by Enterprise Venture Group, Inc. The license is subject to the following conditions: paying a license fee of $500 for a local business as per licensing bylaw CS-21 regulations. A food health permit is approved by the province. Litter disposal containers are provided on site. Hours and days of operation are 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily. Letters of permission from property owners for the proposed location. Letter of permission for access across PID number 1052323. Connection of any pipe, hose, etc. to the city system requires city approval. This bears the recommendation of the planning board meeting of April 11th, 2023. Are there any comments or questions? Deputy Mayor Snow.
Couple questions. I'm curious as to, under conditions, the hours of operation, why 7 p.m.?
I believe those are his proposed hours. as
Oh,
opposed to
like
hours that we're,
He's putting that condition on himself? Do we know? That just seems like a.
I think just part of the application was what are your hours of operation, and
Okay.
that's what they are. So if it was outside of those hours, then
So
it would
if
sort of be
he-
in violation
So
of
if
that.
he decides to stay open till 8,
That would be a
because
violation.
business are good, business is doing well, it just seems like a strange condition to put on somebody trying to operate a business during the summer months at 7 o'clock. She's pretty nice evening, I don't know if anyway, yeah, is that?
If, Gordon, if you can confirm, but I think those were his own submitted hours, and I think just as part of the application process, it's when would you like to be open? So that's what
Yeah, I think
the
you're
answer was.
correct.
And so if he, going forward, would, if this is approved, if he'd like to change those hours, would he just have to make another application and another $500, or is it just something that,
No, I think that'd be done just administratively.
okay.
Okay, my second question is, to access across PID 105-2323, is that not his land?
That is his own land. He
Another-
permitted himself to do that,
Yeah.
but again, it's just
Another
sort of part of the official,
strange- Yeah,
yeah.
um,
He will provide a letter from himself,
yeah, okay.
giving himself
perfect.
permission to do that.
I'd like to see that letter, that's gonna be interesting. And then the property owner, we still don't know if he got official permission, but that won't be granted until he gets it. Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
All right,
Thank you.
anything else? Councilor McGowan?
I just want it stated, I have nothing against food trucks, but I do have a real concern with the traffic up there because the butcher block is extremely busy. I was up there on Saturday and I sat there for 15 minutes and almost witnessed 2 accidents. So I just want that kind of put in the minutes.
Okay, very good. Councilor McCollum?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is in no way any personal reflection on Mr. Arsenault. I think that he is a very good business person, but I'm basing my decision tonight not to vote on this, in favor of this, simply because of the planning board meeting on April 11th. My concerns are similar to Councillor Gallant, that safety, we don't know how that will happen, but I have watched different things as far as traffic incoming, exiting, entering. And the other thing where I do have concerns over the bylaw that was expressed by departmental staff, that the original application was to go from an R1, I believe, to an R4 application, and then this other request has come in with a commercial unit. So I'm not feeling comfortable about it.
Okay, and so you will just be abstaining from the vote, is that what you will not be voting?
No.
Either way?
I won't be voting in favor of letting it go forward.
Okay. Understood, okay. Anyone else? If not, we will call the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Opposed.
Councillor Gallant and Councillor McCollum. And Bruce is absent, so I believe an absent vote is not counted as a yay, just abstaining would count as a yay, but since he's not here, so we have 4 for, and 2 against. If everyone's comfortable with that analysis, we'll call that carried and move on. Thank you. And I will hand it back over to Your Worship, I believe.
Thank you, Councillor Duran. Moving on to the next item, I'll actually be passing it right over to Councillor Adams.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Resolution COS 23-058, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Rick Morrison. Whereas a vacancy has occurred in Ward 3 in the city of Summerside, and whereas the Municipal Government Act 2018 states in Part 3, Section 60, Article 1, that council shall declare a by-election to fill the vacancy, and whereas a date for the election day be set no later than 6 months after the vacancy has occurred, And whereas Elections PEI has successfully run past elections and have the staff and expertise to run the upcoming by-election in a professional, efficient, and competent manner, therefore be it resolved that Council for the City of Summerside appoint Elections PEI Chief Electoral Officer Tim Garrity to act in the capacity of Municipal Electoral Officer, MEO, and Elections PEI Deputy Chief Electoral Officer Stephanie Thorpe to act as Deputy Electoral Officer for the upcoming by-election that will be occurring on Monday, May 29th, 2023. So any questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. And opposed? Okay, resolution carried.
Thank you, Councillor. Just to add a little note on there, just a little information, while we have media and public listening. There'll be 3 days of advance voting, Saturday, May 20th, Tuesday, May 23rd, Friday, May 26th from 9 a.m. until 7 p.m. Election day, as you noted, is May 29th from 9 a.m. till 7 p.m. A notice of nomination will be in the Guardian and Journal Pioneer newspapers on Wednesday, April 26th, outlining the event and candidate nomination information. So that will be available to candidates as of April 26th, and the source to get the information is Elections PEI. So if anyone calls any councillors or myself, we will just be directing you to Elections PEI to get the information when we do. At this point, we'll move into section 7, which is reports. Councilor McDougall is not with us. He is presenting the first report, but another member from Finance Committee, I believe, Councilor Adams, you are presenting Councilor McDougall's report.
Thank you, Worship. Finance report. I've never done finance report before, so this is exciting. Good evening to my colleagues on City Council and to businesses and residents in the City of Summerside. The report tonight starts with an update on the status of utility accounts receivable. As of April 10th, 2023, the following is being reported. Total overdue balance is $264,300 compared to $302,600 at March 13, 2023. Approximately 10.5% or $27,700 of the overdue balance is greater than 60 days past due. This compares to 12.9% or $39,000 on March 13, 2023. So even though our balance for accounts greater than 60 days past due has decreased since March, the report is still higher than it should be. It has increased from $3,600 at October 7, 2022 to a high of $39,000 at March 13, 2023. We're strongly encouraging customers who have outstanding utility balances that are greater than the 60 days that a payment needs to be made as disconnection of service for non-payment has begun. And also the annual year-end audit will soon be occurring. We expect that our 22-23 financial statements will be presented to Council in July. We are still projecting a small surplus for 22-23 based on preliminary financial results. And thank you for the opportunity to present this report. And I was going to say myself or Director of Finance, but Director of Finance is available to take your questions.
Thank you, Councillor. Next up, Representative for Community Services and Tourism, Councillor Morrison.
Thank you, Your Worship. With the start of March came the end of the 2023 Canada Winter Games on PEI. Credit Union Place had the honor of being the host to the women's hockey finals and men's and women's boxing finals. Team British Columbia defeated Team Nova Scotia in women's hockey action, making history for Team Nova Scotia, claiming their first ever, that sounds like it might be backwards. Anyway, first ever women's hockey medal at the Canada Games. However, that wasn't the only history being made at Credit Union Place. Over at the Dome, men's and women's boxing were competing at the Winter Games for the first time ever. The Veterans Convention Center at Credit Union Place didn't slow down in March, hosting 45 meetings and conventions and welcoming a few new clients. The Ocean 100 box office was busy last month between Summerside Western Capitals playoff tickets, Loverboy and Kim Mitchell, Monster Truck Spectacular tickets, and Jerry Seinfeld, all becoming available. The reception desk at Credit Union Place remains steady, with registration for the spring edition of swimming lessons opening, active living summer camps, and new fitness classes being offered. The Dolphin swim team hosted their club swim meet in March, welcoming 120 local swimmers to the Aquatic Center at Credit Union Place. The Aquatic Center also continued with their regular schedule of programs and opened registration for swimming lessons, additionally offering a national lifeguard course and bronze cross course. The Lanes helped celebrate 16 birthday parties along with welcoming Three Oaks Senior High phys ed classes weekly. Midweek 2-for-1 bowling has been a hit as of late, along with the Learn to Bowl registrations opening up. Over at the Dome, the team has been nonstop following the Canada Winter Games. They are back to offering PD Day programs, wedge golf, active living programs, and countless birthday parties. With the warmer weather, active winter has come to an end, and they have begun gearing up for spring-summer programs. And just a note, tickets are still on sale for Loverboy, Kim Mitchell, Jerry Seinfeld, and standing room only for Monster Trucks and active living summer camps. And I'd like to thank Director J.P. DeRoger for that report. And if there are any questions, we'll attempt to answer them.
Thank you, Councillor Morrison. Next up, Councillor McColman, representative for Arts, Culture, and Diversity. You're next on my list.
On somebody's list. I would like to bring the report for Culture Summerside, and thank you to Director Laurie Ellis for the preparation. Good evening to our residents, general public, and my fellow colleagues. The following report captures some highlights of Culture Summerside's activity from mid-March to mid-April time period. Culture Summerside staff are diligently preparing programming for the 2023 summer schedule. The Summer Lobster Carnival is scheduled for July 6th, 7th, and 8th, 2023. Lobster supper tickets sales are open and tourists are already purchasing. Parade registration is also open, and other carnival competitions such as the lobster trap stacking, country music singing, biscuit making, trivia, and cardboard boat races, among others, will open for the registration period in the near future. Each year, the scope and scale of Summerside Lobster Carnival is tourism, supply companies, and services, as well as potential for revenue generation. Environmental factors such as inflation, labor force, competition for sponsorship dollars, competing island events, community involvement, and tourism greatly affect its scale, delivery, and outcome. More information will follow on the Lobster Carnival, and it can also be found on summersidelobstercarnival.ca, all lowercase altogether. Culture Summerside staff and Wide Heritage Properties Incorporated are preparing events details for the Old Fashioned Carnival, weekly concerts in the garden, the Summerside Arts Festival, and Diverse City. Staff are currently accepting applications for summer positions at Culture Summerside. Summer staff aid in the operations for our 3 municipal museums and the Culture and History and Interpretive Centers. We are currently featuring at the Lafergie Culture Center a group exhibition called Everyone Has a Story, organized by our local artist Vivian Aho. This is part of our 60 Days of Fame exhibition series. This show is open for the months of April and May. And I just wanted to point out that the exhibit's opening was on Friday, April the 14th. And I was honored to attend, represent Mayor and Council. And it's well worth the visit to certainly see the artistic expressions with stories and poetry included at Lafergie Cultural Center. And that concludes my report. If there's any questions or comments.
Thank you, Councillor McColman. And you were right. Human Resources was next on the list. I was wrong. But luckily, Councillor Adams, she can do it at the same time as her next one. No, it wasn't just you. It's my habit of putting check marks before things are finished. Next up, Councillor Gallant, representative of Municipal Services.
Good evening, Your Worship. I want to thank Greg Goody for doing the report. Public Works, Water, Sewer, Utility highlights. Public Works is now transitioning into the right-of-way repairs, traffic line painting, street cleaning. The effects will be amped up as timing proceeds to the Victoria Day in May. The Public Works starts their work when overnight temperatures stay above freezing and when the grass seed can germinate. The other items being allocated is snow removal has finished for the year, and they are cleaning up pathway damage and sod overturn. The water and sewer utilities are entering the spring maintenance cycle, with all lift stations being cleaned and water distribution curb stopping being repaired from the frost heaves and movement of the winter. Any water customers that have missed curb stops and raised valve stems should contact 902-432-1268 to inform the department so that they can be repaired. Electrical utility highlights. City of Summerside MECL customers will be without power on April 23rd, 2023, between the hours of 2 and 7 a.m. For more information, go to the city website. City of Summerside electrical customers will be without power on May 14th, 2023, between the hours of 2 and 7 a.m. For more information, go to the city website. Public Works. Crews working on potholes, installating coal patch. Crews are working on street signage repair, cleaning catch basins for drainage. Crews picking up sods from the last couple of plow runs. Water and sewer. 32 water samples were taken for clean bacteria results. 4 water main breaks this month were repaired. Highland Avenue, Racetrack, North Drive, and North Market Street. 14 water service turn-offs this month. 8 water service repairs this month, curb stops. 2 sewer videos were performed this month, and 4 sewer calls were done this month as well. Electrical utilities. Meter changes. Meters installed at 541 Granville Street, which is tops to floors. B1 breaker maintenance. Emergency lighting repair at Crozier Lift Station. Maintenance to pump house building and heater. Crosswalk button at the Athena School was repaired. Traffic lights, pending light at Heather Moyce and Granville. Traffic light bulbs at Water Street and McEwen were repaired. And southeast traffic alignment on Granville and Pope Road. That's the end of my report. Any questions? Thank you.
Councillor Barb, can I just request that the City of Summerside, the maritime electric customers that live within the city, it said, to contact or look at the Maritime Electric website. Can we also have that on our own social media?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah,
just check on that one.
Yep.
Just so we can all share it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Gallant. Next up, Representative for Technical Services, Councillor Duran.
Okay, thank you very much, Your Worship, and thank you to Director Aaron McDonald for preparing the report this evening. 23 building permits with a total value of just under $17 million were issued for the month of March. We issued 2 permits for apartment buildings, 4 change of uses for both commercial and residential spaces. A mix of commercial permits were issued, 1 new, 3 alterations, and 1 addition. On the residential side, we had permits issued for 6 semi-detached units, 1 single-family unit, in addition, 3 alterations and 1 demolition. Staff continued with other various follow-up inspections for the projects that have been progressing throughout the winter season. Staff continue to review various projects and consult with developers who have a number of projects in the plan preparation stage. A couple apartment complexes are progressing along in the construction phase. There's a 61 unit on Simmons Avenue and a 29 unit off of Water Street East. 2 apartment complexes recently received permits. There was one for a 24 unit on Schooner Street, which is off Water Street East, and another for a 31 unit building off on Lafergie Avenue for a total of 55 units. As we mentioned, developers are stopping in and speaking to staff for assistance with their proposed projects for the next year. And now is also a great time for citizens to ask for assistance with their projects that they may have planned for the summer as well. So that is the tech services report for March, April. Deputy Mayor Snow.
Just curious, this is probably more of a question from Gordon, but I noticed on here you mentioned demolition permit. Without speaking about particular properties, but I know of a couple in mind, and one in particular that I know had received a demolition permit a ways back. Nothing has been done yet. I'm just curious how that process plays out when somebody applies for a demolition permit, particularly when the property might be less than desirable in a specific neighborhood, and how we either police, address it. How do we make sure that it either happens or doesn't, and if it doesn't happen, I have a feeling that the one I'm thinking of, and I don't want to, but I have a feeling it's more of maybe a stall tactic than actually an intention to do anything. And I know last year we did a lot of work on vacant buildings and trying to police that, and how we were going to tax appropriately and tax differently and address certain things just so we get some movement on things. And I'm just curious where we're at with that whole, maybe that's
That might be
committee
topic,
meeting discussion, but it just, when you mentioned it, it jogged my memory, so.
Yeah, and I know we all get the reports from, I think, Mike Straw that has an outline of all the permits that come in a given month, so we could refer to that, to see what these specific things are. Gordon, did you want to speak to the particular question?
Generally
that Deputy
speaking,
Mayor
a demolition permit, I believe, is valid for 1 year. That's off the top of my head. So once you get a demolition permit, there's no requirement that you follow through with it unless it was an order from something else. So in terms of policing that, we don't necessarily police whether or not somebody actually follows through with the demolition permit. But I guess if it was on a property that was already noted as potentially being contrary to some other bylaw, then we would police that as we normally would.
And demolitions could be done for any number of things. It could be a new property owner that plans to build something else there, or would a demolition be considered if you're removing a part of a building, or would that just come in under renovation?
I'm not entirely sure, to be honest.
Okay. So yeah, so there's no mention of what that specific one is. We could certainly find out. I don't think it would be a in-camera type.
Question.
Yeah, okay. Do you want me to, if there's anything you'd like me to bring back, I'll be happy to check it out and send an email around. Okay.
He's best served probably on an upcoming committee meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in it over here for you. Thanks.
Very good.
Brian, maybe you can make a note to put that on the upcoming committee meeting. If Councilor Snow's good with that.
Just to be clear though, so staff can compare.
Belief is when we have demolition permits come through, or we have properties that are less than desirable in neighborhoods, and nobody's going to be surprised to hear this, but we need to do a better job policing it, because it negatively impacts the neighbors and people in that area, and we've done a very poor job in the past, and are currently doing a poor job policing or addressing any of those issues. So I think there's a number of properties within our city that are less than desirable, that negatively impact the neighbors, and it always tends to pick up this time of year, but there's a number of them that are year-round sitting vacant, and it's just a matter of time before something negatively happens, whether or not, whatever. I don't want to put things in people's mind, but it's just, we need to address it, and I think it's on us as a municipality to make sure that we're doing the work for the residents in those areas to make sure that their property values are maintained and their joy of living in a certain area is maintained, so.
Could I make a point? I'm just going back and reflecting on the policy bylaw review that was done. I think Councillor Carey, you would remember that. And it was basically on this very topic about unsightly properties, business and vacant. And I know there was a lot of work done, covered on that. It has improved somewhat. I'm thinking of one specific business on Water Street near Tim Hortons. That was a real problem. But unfortunately, with that, I mean, there are other legalities around who owns the property, that sort of thing. So I certainly understand where you're coming from on that point, but I also realize that sometimes if there's legalities that need to be dealt with, ownership that's not in the province, that sort of thing, it does take time. And if we can find that out, that might make the path a little more clear.
It's fun thinking about the property you mentioned, but that's
Well,
one of my,
everybody knows
that's
it.
one of my pet peeves, but it's actually a residential property that has been brought to my attention time and time again.
Yeah.
Then we've heard that there's a demolition permit, and then there's no movement on it, and you talk to residents in the area, and you say, hey, this is what's going on, this is what we're hearing, and then nothing happens. It's frustrating for myself as a counselor, it's frustrating for them that have to deal with it, so I think it's worth a discussion.
Okay, hello. Plan to discuss that, I guess, the first Tuesday in May, which is when our committee of the whole meetings.
Yeah, so am I turning your mic off? Maybe I can't see it. Yeah, we can do that for sure. And we can talk about some of the specifics around that. It might be also worth Councillor Snow at that time reviewing. Perhaps staff can update us on the success of the vacant building bylaw. I know I have the name incorrectly, but I'd be curious as how many applications have been made under it and what's happened. So we can figure out some of the particulars for that next meeting. Councillor Duran, you're done?
I'm finished. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor. Next up, Councillor Deputy Mayor Snow, Representative Economic Development and Growth.
Thank you, Your Worship. The following is a brief update from the Office of Economic Development. I'd like to just start by thanking Director Mike Thuska for compiling the report. Client servicing, the focus of the office for the past month has been on client servicing, data analytics, and program development. It continues to be a busy time for growth prospects in the city of Summerside. I can say that I've been involved in several meetings with Director Mike over the last month, and there are some real great leads and possibilities that hopefully will come to fruition real soon. So, real estate developments, the office continues to focus on some key signature real estate projects with local investors, and it is anticipated in the coming months we will have significant movement on several key projects for public announcement. Labor recruitment, the office recently participated in a healthcare roundtable, a series of focus on labor recruitment and retention for all sectors of employers in Summerside. Across the globe, there's a not-so-quiet crisis playing out in our public and private sector enterprise that is impeding our ability to deliver the highest modern and timely services to customers we serve. Labor constriction. Globally, the supply challenges and staff leaving for other opportunities have never been more acute. Summerside is currently looking to fill over 400 positions across its key sectors, and without intervention, the situation will only exacerbate itself. While we have had much success in both recruitment and retention to stabilize our economy, we need to do more in order to reach its full potential. Our goal our goal of this strategic work is to develop a community-driven labor retention program that identifies and understands the need, receives input from stakeholders in the public, establishes funding, and develops practical results-driven program supports that meet the needs and objectives to help enterprise fill their labor needs. We will, in the coming months, have more details and public awareness on efforts to help stabilize and grow the labor opportunities in Summerside. That is the report of the Economic Development.
Thank you, Councillor Snow. Next up, Councillor Adams, presenting two reports. First, as representative for Governance, Human Resources and Communications, and then as representative for Emergency Services.
Excellent, thank you, Your Worship. And for Human Resource for April, David Tendo was the successful applicant in the IT specialist position. Mike Doucette was the successful applicant in the wastewater treatment plant operator competition. So welcome to David and Mike. Postings were made for student summer engineering employment positions in the technical services and municipal services sections. Positions with Culture Summerside have been advertised for summer students and a Culture Summerside assistant as well. And interviews have been held for summer green space staff. There are current job postings for seasonal laborers and an IT assistant. And all those mentioned above, any postings are on the Summerside website or on the social media. And staff have met with communication leads to review and implement new procedures. A review of the city's occupational health and safety program is ongoing, with updates being made as required. And many staff are participating in participactions, stepping it up to Spring Challenge. Before I move on to the next one, I just wanted to thank municipal services staff for their snow removal efforts over the winter months. This winter was a little better than we've seen in the past, so which was, I'm sure, a relief to them. And now we're getting our green space staff, as I mentioned, on to our parks and our green spaces so they can beautify the city for the summer months. So. And that's it for my human resource report, if anybody has any questions. And I will go into the Summerside Police Service. Whether it's internet fraud, deceptive telemarketing, or identity theft, fraud is a serious problem. It is unfortunate, but we have seen an increase in the number of our citizens that have been scammed, especially our most vulnerable. The Summerside Police Service wants to help prevent everyone from becoming a victim and has started an education and awareness program. Members of the Major Crime section have done talks during the month on how to protect citizens from becoming a victim of fraud. And I guess the rule of thumb sort of is if you have any question whatsoever, just call about it. Most citizens in the city would have noticed an awareness flyer in their utility bill, providing them with valuable information on fraud. The police services have also posted links on their Facebook page and the city's website. And we'd like to thank community services staff for their help on this initiative. Any groups that wish to have a presentation on fraud are asked to contact Summerside Police Services, and we'll get that arranged. Constable Lisi, the school resource officer, has visited all schools within the Three Oaks family of schools. Her and Dave Ellis, who is the youth outreach worker, did a joint presentation to 2 grade 6 classes at Parkside on online safety. The police service have received positive feedback on the work that Constable Lisi is doing in the schools. Corporal Jennifer Driscoll has joined the Provincial Human Trafficking Committee. Training is being organized for frontline personnel in June on how to recognize and deal with human trafficking victims. The police service would like to welcome Constable Carly Matheson as part of our team. Carly is a recent graduate of the Atlantic Police Academy, and she came to us from Truro Police Service. And Carly has come back home as she grew up in the eastern part of PEI. Constable Stevenson attended the Provincial Home Show in Charlottetown and was part of the Crime Stoppers booth. He is our representative on the PEI Crime Stoppers Committee. 3 members attended managerial training at the Atlantic Police Academy. Our goal is to have all supervisors attend this training. The course was instructed by Phonse McNeil, a very well-respected retired RCMP member. The police service is presently holding a competition for 2 sergeant replacements. One is in major crime and the other will be for the station sergeant. Are there any questions on that? And fire services, this is Ken Culleton usually is the one who puts this together every month. So the March 2023 report, there were 20 calls paged out during the month, 3 medical first responder calls, 11 alarm panel calls, 2 structure fires, 1 carbon monoxide call, 1 outdoor fire violation, and 2 miscellaneous calls. Firefighters spent 441.5 hours of live training on thermal imaging, driving and pumping, ice rescue, and medical first responder training. And I know a couple of those they've used recently. So just a couple notes they have here. After a busy winter of averaging 36 calls a month, and March starting with 2 structure fires, the rest of the month ended up being somewhat quite quiet for fire services, so we'll knock on wood. We are now preparing our gear and equipment for the warmer weather that is hopefully around the corner. Over the past couple of years, Summerside has become home to very large areas of land covered with thousands of solar panels. Our solar farms are create and store an immense amount of electricity that's helping Summerside to reach its net zero target. But from the perspective of emergency services, there's a lot to be learned on this. And have to prepare for having these tens of thousands of solar panels with very large battery storage units in our area, our coverage area. Although somewhat uncommon, we know that solar arrays can and do catch fire, and a situation like that can cause billions of dollars of damage in a short period of time. We know there are specific methods of fire containment and extinguishment. This is a new environment for our volunteers, so we will soon begin training that will teach us how to battle solar array emergency situations. And that is all I have.
I just have a comment, Councillor Carey, just on that final point you're making about the, for the emergency services and the solar farms. I wonder if it would be something that would help us as a council if they could do a presentation to us on it, so, like an information sharing, so that we get a bit of a heads up on it.
I know somebody had mentioned to me, like when you drive past Three Oaks and you see the electric buses plugged in, that like there's lights on them, so you know if there was an emergency, like which ones are electrified and which ones aren't. So it's just sort of neat things like that that probably wouldn't think of. So.
Thank you, Councillor, and we'll find a time to have our fire department come and do a presentation to us on that. That's really valuable. Last is myself, Federation of PEI Municipalities. As a representative, there were no meetings in the course of the last month, so there's nothing to report. There is a new provincial cabinet. We have begun our outreach, and we'll continue to build relationships there for a number of projects that we'd like to see the provincial government move forward with here in Summerside, and a number of projects and initiatives that we'd like to see the provincial government move forward with for the benefit of all Prince Edward Islanders that have a particular relevance here in Summerside. So we'll continue to do that. At this point, I might just give us again, short recess before we move into the final in-camera session. I think CBC, is it Brian? Is here to do you have some questions on the by-election or anything like that we can do afterwards. We can do, and then we can come back and do our in-camera piece. So we'll just take 5, if that's okay. Thanks, everyone.